My name is Sarah Martinez. I'm 28 years old, a petty officer in the United States Navy. To anyone looking at me, I'm just another sailor, 5'6", dark hair in a regulation bun, wearing the same navy blue uniform as thousands of others. I eat breakfast in the crowded mess hall at Naval Station Norfolk. I check my emails and I do my job. But what almost nobody knew until that specific morning was that my uniform was hiding a secret. I wasn't just a logistics specialist, I was a Navy SEAL. And this is the story of the day I had to stop hiding. It started like any other Tuesday. I walked into the mess hall, my combat boots making soft sounds against the polished floor. The noise was overwhelming. The clatter of trays, the hum of hundreds of conversations, the smell of scrambled eggs and bacon. I grabbed a tray and moved through the line, keeping my head down. Years of specialized training had taught me to be gray, to blend in, to be invisible. I found a table in the back corner. I preferred eating alone. It gave me time to observe. I scanned the room automatically, noting exits, counting people, assessing threats. It was a habit drilled into me during years of training that most people in this room would never experience. I was halfway through my eggs when I felt the eyes on me. At a nearby table, 4 male recruits were watching me. They were young, maybe 19 or 20, and fresh out of basic training. They had that look about them, that cocky confidence that comes from thinking they know everything, but haven't actually done anything yet. "Look at her," one of them said. His name was Jake. Tall, sandy hair, loud enough for me to hear. "She thinks she's so tough because she wears the uniform." He laughed. His friend Marcus nodded. "These women think they can do everything men can do. It's ridiculous." The third one, Tommy, cracked his knuckles. "Someone should teach her a lesson about respect. Show her what real sailors look like." The fourth one, David, looked uncomfortable. I could see it in his body language. He knew it was wrong, but he didn't want to be the odd one out. I kept eating. I didn't react. I had dealt with this kind of thing before. Some men struggle with women in combat roles. I've learned to pick my battles, but they weren't done. They stood up and walked over to my table. The mess hall got quieter as people noticed the tension building. Jake stood right across from me, leaning his hands on my table. "Excuse me, sailor," he said, his voice dripping with fake politeness. "My friends and I were wondering what someone like you is doing in the Navy. Shouldn't you be home taking care of children or something?" I looked up. My expression was calm. "I'm eating breakfast," I said simply. "That's what I'm doing." Marcus moved to block my left side. "That's not what we meant. Women don't belong in combat positions. You're just taking spots away from men who could actually do the job." Tommy positioned himself on my right. "Maybe you got confused during recruitment. The Navy isn't the place for playing dress up." David reluctantly completed the circle behind me. I set my fork down. I looked at the 4 of them. To them, I was a target, a lone woman they could intimidate to feel bigger. They saw my size, my gender, and they made an assumption. What they didn't know was that they had just made the biggest mistake of their short military careers. "I'm not interested in having this conversation," I said quietly. "I suggest you all return to your own business. You're not in any position to make threats, lady," she sneered. "There are 4 of us, and 1 of you." I slowly pushed my tray away and stood up. The mess hall went dead silent. I was shorter than all of them, but my posture shifted. The casual observer wouldn't notice, but anyone with combat experience would see it. I had gone from relaxed to ready. "Last chance," I said. "Walk away now, and we can all pretend this never happened." Jake laughed. He actually laughed. "You think you're tough? We're going to teach you a lesson." He signaled to Marcus. Marcus reached out and grabbed my arm. That was the moment. The instant his hand touched my uniform, I moved. I didn't think. I didn't panic. My training just took over. I grabbed Marcus's wrist with my left hand, pivoted, and drove my right elbow into his solar plexus. It was surgical, precise. He doubled over, gasping for air, completely out of the fight before he knew what hit him. I spun, using him as a shield for a split second to assess the others. Jake froze. Tommy, the loud one, lunged at me from behind, but I was already moving. I ducked under his grab, swept his ankles, and used his own momentum to send him crashing into an empty table. Trays and dishes shattered everywhere. 15 seconds, that's all it took. Jake charged me, roaring. I sidestepped his clumsy punch, grabbed his arm, and hip-tossed him over my shoulder. He slammed onto the floor, the wind knocked out of him. I stood in the center of the wreckage. 3 recruits were on the ground, groaning. David, the 4th one, was backing away with his hands up, his face white with shock. The entire mess hall was staring. I barely breathed hard. I looked at David. "You thought because I was a woman, I couldn't defend myself? That I didn't deserve to wear this uniform?" He shook his head. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "We didn't know. You didn't ask," I said. Chief Petty Officer Williams, a veteran who had been watching from the sideline, pushed through the crowd. He took one look at the 4 recruits on the floor, then at me. He didn't look angry. He looked impressed. "Petty Officer Martinez," he said, "I think we need to have a conversation." He took me to a small office off the mess hall. He knew. He had seen enough combat in his 22 years to know that those weren't moves you learn in a basic self-defense class. Those were Tier 1 operator moves. "According to your file, you're a logistics specialist," he said, closing the door. I looked at him. I knew my cover was blown. Not just with him, but with the 50 people holding up their phones in the mess hall. The video was probably already online. "Chief," I said, "I need to make a phone call." I dialed the secure number. When the voice answered, I gave them my code name, Falcon 7. I explained the situation. My commanding officer on the other end sighed. "Falcon 7, your cover is compromised. You are authorized to reveal your status to the chief. We'll handle the fallout." When I hung up, I told Chief Williams everything. I told him about the SEAL training, the classified mission, the need for a cover identity. I told him I was just there to gather intelligence. He just nodded slowly. Well, that plan went out the window. Half the base has seen you take apart 4 guys like they were children. The fallout was instant and chaotic. Within hours, the video of me fighting in the mess hall had gone viral. 50,000 views, then 2 million. The headlines were everywhere. Female sailor takes down 4 recruits in seconds. Mystery woman displays elite combat skills. The Navy decided not to suppress it. They decided to embrace it. The 4 recruits, Jake, Marcus, Tommy, and David, were in trouble. Not just for starting a fight, but because the internet had found their names. They were getting harassed, threatened. But more importantly, they were humbled. I saw Jake a few days later. He didn't look arrogant anymore. He looked small. He had written me a letter. He said he had been wrong about everything. He said he realized he had judged me by my gender, not my capability. I was reassigned. I couldn't stay in the shadows anymore. The Pentagon moved me to a public affairs role. I started traveling to recruitment events, speaking at academies, talking to young women and men about respect, assumptions, and service. I stood in front of an auditorium in Chicago recently. A young girl raised her hand. "Ma'am," she said, "I saw the video. Those guys underestimated you. I feel like people underestimate me too." I looked at her and I saw myself. "Don't let their assumptions define you," I told her. Those 4 recruits saw a woman and assumed I was weak. They were wrong, just like people might be wrong about you. The incident in the mess hall, it only lasted 45 seconds, but it changed lives. It changed my life, forcing me out of the shadows and into the light. And it changed the lives of 4 recruits who learned a harsh lesson about respect. I didn't want to be a symbol. I didn't want to be famous. I just wanted to serve my country. But if being known means that 1 less girl gets underestimated or 1 less soldier is judged by their appearance instead of their skill, then I'm okay with it. I'm Sarah Martinez. I'm a Navy SEAL, and I'm done hiding. Life in the spotlight was harder than diving at night with a rebreather that I knew how to do. Interviews, photo ops, having my face plastered on billboards, that was uncharted territory. The Navy had given me a new title, Ambassador for Special Warfare. It sounded fancy, but mostly it meant I spent my days in dress blues instead of camis, shaking hands with politicians and doing my best to represent the community that had trained me. But the work didn't stop just because my face was public. 3 months after the mess hall incident, I was sitting in a briefing room at the Pentagon. The man across the table was Admiral Vance, a man with steel gray eyes and a reputation for playing by the book. "Petty Officer Martinez," he said, skipping the pleasantries. "We have a situation." I sat up straighter. "Sir, while the public loves the viral Valkyrie narrative, and yes, that is what they are calling you on Twitter, your face is now a security liability for covert ops. You cannot be inserted into a denied environment. You'd be recognized in a heartbeat." "I understand, sir," I said, though it stung. My operator days felt like they were slipping through my fingers. However, the Admiral continued, leaning forward. "Your visibility gives us a new kind of leverage. We have a hostage situation in Yemen. A group of oil workers has been taken by local militants. They've made demands, but they haven't released any proof of life. The company is hesitant to pay. We need someone to go in, not as a shooter, but as a negotiator. Someone who has the authority of the US military, but isn't a threat to them. They've requested a civilian representative, and well, they've seen the news. They asked for the woman who fights like a ghost." I blinked. "They want me? They think you're a hero, Martinez. They think you're a celebrity. They want the PR win of having you visit. We think you can get eyes on the hostages." I looked at the map on the table. It was a diplomatic mission, not a kinetic one. But I knew how these things went. They go sideways in a heartbeat. "I'm not a negotiator, sir. I'm an operator." "You're a SEAL," he corrected. "You know how to read a room. You know how to control a situation. We aren't sending you in alone, but you'll be the face. Can you do it?" I thought about the 4 recruits in the mess hall. I thought about the girls looking up to me. I was done hiding, but that didn't mean I was done serving. "Yes, sir," I said. "I can do it." 2 days later, I was in a dusty compound in the Yemeni desert. The heat was a physical weight, pressing down on my Kevlar vest. I wasn't wearing a helmet this time. The Admiral was right. The optics mattered here. I needed to look approachable, not armored. The compound was a dilapidated oil facility. My security detail, a team from DevGuru, my old community, was positioned on the surrounding ridges, hidden from sight. I was walking in with nothing but my sidearm, a press credential, and a handheld radio. A militant leader, a man named Kareem, met me at the gate. He was younger than I expected, with a beard that looked too carefully groomed and eyes that darted around nervously. "You are the famous one," he said in accented English. His smile was oily. "The woman from the video." I didn't smile back. "I'm here to see the hostages, Kareem. Are they alive?" Of course. He waved his hand dismissively. "We are not monsters. We are freedom fighters. You come, we We drink tea. We talk. He led me inside. The facility was a maze of rusted pipes and sandbags. I was scanning everything. Entry point, hard corners, the wind direction, the body language of the guards. Most of them looked bored, underfed, and undisciplined. Good. We entered a main office building. It had been looted, the furniture overturned. There were about 10 armed men in the room, and in the corner, huddled together on a dirty mattress, were 5 civilians, 3 men, 2 women. They looked dehydrated and terrified, but alive. I checked them off the mental list I'd memorized on the flight over. See? Kareem spread his arms. They are guests. You need to let them go, I said, my voice flat. The American government is prepared to discuss your grievances, but not while you hold these people. You have cameras. Show them the proof of life now, and we move to the next step. Kareem laughed. No, not yet. First, we make a statement. We want the world to see that the great America sends a woman to beg for workers. He signaled to one of his men. The guard handed me a phone. A live stream app was already open. Thousands of viewers were already joining. Speak to them, Kareem ordered. Tell them we are right. I looked at the phone. Then I looked at the hostages.